back checking out our next podcast here. I have Ciaran Lennon back on again. Myself, thanks for coming back on again, man.
No worries, man. Anytime.
Fucking for well,
Anytime.
you've been called out in that one. So the way we're going to treat this podcast compared to some of the last ones we've done is this one's going to be solely focused on music, and in particular, it's going to be selections from our own vinyl collections. And it's not exactly like Treasure Island discs or anything that kind of crack. It's just picking a couple of ones from each of our collection, go through them today, and as we've discussed ourselves, amongst ourselves, sorry, that we're not going to be picking out some of the typical ones that a lot of people would have in their collections, like like Dark Side of the Moon and fucking
Led Zeppelin 4, Queen's greatest hits,
yeah,
ones that everybody has,
true. Now they are classics, and a lot of those albums, like say Rumors and everything as well, should always be in
Yeah.
everyone's collection. If
Yeah.
not on vinyl, at least everyone's got them. But
There's no point in us going, oh, here's my favourite, here's Rumours, and you're like, oh, I've got that too.
I know. I don't just sit here doing like a whole thing on it. Not to say that those albums don't deserve their own merit or highlight, but that's not what we're about. We like picking out some of our favorites. So
Yeah, it's just random, obscure albums, worth mentioning maybe.
true. And with some of my selections, because we're going to do this episodically, so we're trying to sit down every so often and put it out some more, because the collections keep growing as we go along. I mean, in the last few days, I've had 3 more arrive. You know what I mean? Like, so neither one of them are on the list because it's not fair. I haven't had enough time to go through them and decide whether they're worthy on this time. But I think the selection I have enough today is a good bit of a mix from what I would have, and I'd say you've done that as well.
Yeah, just random. I think you'd be surprised of what I've picked out. You've seen my collection, so
yeah, it's a good hefty collection. Like,
I'm very lucky. Like, if people have given me records and I've found a few gems, reasonably priced, so I've looked out.
Well, maybe as well as we go along, if there's any tips that you want to give anyone that wants that is collecting, or maybe even wants to get into collecting records, because it's definitely a positive thing for people to be doing, especially music fans, because at this point, everyone and anyone has access to every album, Spotify and YouTube. You can listen to anything that's ever been recorded. Basically, at this point, you can find a copy of. Whereas our choice now is to go back, take a step back, and grab some albums we really like and appreciate them from a different way by having them on vinyl.
Oh yeah, definitely. You never know what you're gonna find. You go on Amazon there, and I got like the Van Halen album on Amazon for £3, and I was like, sure. Oh, it's worth a pump of £3. Like, see what it was like, and it was brilliant. Like,
was it which one was it? Van Halen, or?
Yeah, Van Halen had Eruption and
You talk about love and fucking
talk about love.
The classics, like.
Yeah. I can't even remember half the names of the songs, or it's like something to the devil, or
Run with the Devil.
Yeah, Run with the Devil. It's like, Shout at the Devil. Is it? No, it's a fucking Motley Crue song.
But there's some bands like there's some bands I would purposely go back and get certain records for, but even with the record fairs we would be going to or getting stuff online, there's a thing that helps keep your collection building, because there's some albums that are just going to be so awkward to find, or at least getting in the condition that we want, or getting the originals, because I don't mind getting remastered versions on record, but for particular examples, I'd rather get the original and hear the original versions. So, and it's just another way of just evolving my own music collection, because I have an extensive collection of CDs and everything that are boxed up even beside me here, and several bags of box. There's just no room for them, whereas I can make room for the vinyl, and it's just more of a decorative piece as well, which is handy.
Oh yeah, it's just a bit of nostalgia, something to look back on, and you can appreciate it more, and the sound quality and everything. You just can't beat it.
It's one of those, whenever, like, I used to always just pick up records just anyway, because we still had them when we were growing up, you know what I mean? So it's not an ancient relic really to us. It's just like, this is something from when we were growing up with our families, and you know what I mean? Like, between your collection and my own, I've got stuff here that I've been given from family members as well. It's just like, I remember sitting looking at them from when I was no age. So it is that we kind of bit, isn't it? It's I wouldn't say it's a cheap way to go back and be nostalgic at times, but it's very rewarding, because I just love it, especially like it keeps even just stirring up now from some of the ones I have stacked here. I mean, it's just the artwork just gets your attention.
Oh yeah, definitely. If some interesting artwork coming now and some stories as well.
Good, good, good. It's been a enjoyable bit of homework for you. So,
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's on the tip of my tongue. I don't want to be no spoilers yet.
well, good. Well, tell you what, I'll jump in here with my first one. I think it'd probably be one of the most surprising ones. I'd say I don't think you'd be surprised that I own it, but probably more surprised that I would bring it up and maybe start off with it. But it
Yeah.
definitely bears mention. So, without further ado, so for my first pick to go through here for our collections is the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
Right, right.
I fucking love the Blues Brothers soundtrack. I fucking love the Blues Brothers film. It's one of the only musicals that I can sit there and go through the whole
Yeah.
way through and enjoy. Because if you even took, as blasphemous as it sounds, if you even took the musical performances out of that film and just had the other scenes, it would still be a good film. You know what I mean? It would obviously be missing a lot of shit, but I fucking love it because especially when we were younger, we had the same print, but a poster as well of the same
Yeah.
album cover in our house growing up in Alton Bay in Uri. So it just screams fucking in
Oh
early
no, it's
90s Barcroft every time I see this fucking thing.
yeah. Oh, it's a great film. Like, and I remember, like, oh, you go and see it, and we're like, oh, I wish there's a great film. You pick it up, and then the next
Yeah.
thing you've, oh, I've got three copies of this here.
Oh, it happens. But another point for it as well is that I think it was the last day or two, it's actually turned 40. So it's its 40th anniversary this weekend.
Oh, nice one, man.
And I just something about this album. It's the selection of songs. And the only one song I don't actually like is the one that everyone knows. The Everybody Needs Somebody. It's the one of the tunes I just don't
Oh
like.
yes, yes. Yeah, no, definitely. It's got a Soul Man on it.
Yeah, I think
Was
that's
it
more the second one. That one
the
is,
second
yeah,
one?
second one I just really don't want to get into right now. That's just different as a Blues Brothers fan, but I fucking love it. I've actually Donald Duck Dunn, the bass player that was featured in this as well. I actually had signed up through his tuition school to get leaflets and everything, all just to find out more about the man because he was a fantastic bass player. And you've got Cad Calloway, you've got Woody Hall drumming, you've got fucking Lou Morani. It's uh, it's just stock full of fucking great musicians on it. And I love Give Me Some Lovin'. It's probably the best song I think on the album. But it's just such a great sounding album as well to go back to. Because one of the biggest problems with a lot of these albums from that's 1980, that album. A lot of albums from the 80s, whenever they came out now as CD, it's just very heavily compressed and
Right,
it
yes, yes.
just doesn't sound the same. Even recently, if you ever get round to watching the Blu-ray version of the Blues Brothers, when you listen to that sound coming through in it, what they were able to do, that soundtrack just boosted it. But to be honest, as great as that sound, it doesn't sound anywhere as bad as the scope on this from the record of it.
Right, right.
It is fucking brilliant. So it's one of those albums like I have a small selection for soundtracks,
Yeah,
so it's definitely up in the top of one of the soundtracks I have because it was one of those things when I started properly getting a list together of albums to collect. That was probably like one of the first
yeah.
ones on the list.
No,
Uh,
I have a few, I have a few soundtracks on my list. Like, so I have Last of the Mohicans, or
oh, sweet.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly,
Oh,
or
Ennio
Gladiator or
Morricone.
something. Oh yes, yes.
There's so many soundtracks are a weird thing to go down through because I think there's more merit, I'd say, in having a copy like this of the album from 1980 than any reproduction of them. Although there's
Yeah,
some, see, my mind goes different ways whenever it comes to these records and stuff because I'm sitting there going like, right, I would happily search out the original of the Blues Brothers for
yeah,
merit and for nostalgia and because of the quality. Whereas if I was to get, say, the soundtrack for Jurassic Park or something, I wouldn't be busting my balls to get the John Williams original from
no, no.
1993. I'd be happy enough getting the reprint now with all the stuff in one go. So
Oh yes,
it's
yes.
part and parcel, you know what I mean? So, but it's, it's one of the best bits of homework I've had to do to be able to sit down and listen to this album as well. It's just
Yeah,
brilliant. She Caught the Katie as well, definitely, because I have to highlight a couple of tracks from it that people should check out if they're not aware. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of the Blues Brothers, and as I said, everyone's bound to be aware then of Everybody Needs Somebody, but there's so
yeah.
many other better tracks, and sadly, so. Give Me Some Lovin' is literally in the film for about half a minute at the most, and you don't hear it again. Like they cut it off. It's the bit whenever they're starting to play in the bar and they've got all the chicken wire in front of them and people start realizing they're not the proper band that's supposed to be there and shit. But you literally get 30 seconds of the track, and I fucking love that track. But
does it have that when they're like in that there? Does it have that
Rawhide's on it and
Is that
everything? Peter Gunn themes on it. As I say, She Caught the Kitties on it. Sweet Home Chicago was fucking brilliant on this.
Yeah.
And isn't Minnie Mookers on this as well, or did they put that on the vinyl version? Yeah. It's stock full of fucking great tracks from it, and I'm not a massive blues fan because at times it has to be specific artists or something for me to really actually enjoy it. But it's perfect. It's a great accompany piece if you like the album, if you like the film.
Yeah.
So I definitely get people to check it out because for vinyl collectors, the sound is great. It's inexpensive, to be fair, to get a copy of it on vinyl. It's just sometimes it can be a bit tricky. There's not that many people putting it on eBay and auctions as much, but so that was my first pick out the draw to give you a bit of a throw a spanner to work.
Definitely, it was just like, I definitely wasn't expecting that. That was out of nowhere. Like,
I've great fondness for that, like completely. So I thought I'd have to throw you off for the first pick, but I think you'd be happy enough with the rest of the picks anyway. So, what have you got for your first pick here?
For my first one, I have Bon Jovi's "Slippery When Wet." Slippery When Wet. Let me see, from 1987, the third studio album. It's got some great songs on it. "Living on a Prayer," absolute anthem. Get everybody up and going. Big sing along there.
Yeah.
"You Give Love a Bad Name," "Wanted Dead or Alive."
I didn't actually realize they were all on the same album, to be fair.
So they had "Wanted Dead or Alive" on this here, big like cowboy thing sort of song. So
Young Guns, wasn't it?
I think Blaze of Glory was on Young Guns.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But the band went and they got all pictures taken of them all dressed up like cowboys and all, and then they were like, "Here, this is a bit naff, like." So it goes, "Here, we have to think of different ideas." So then they went and got, because this isn't the original album cover. The original.
I have to take it out of the sleeve there just so I can get a.
Oh yes.
And I think your camera's on blur, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe a wee bit of.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's the album cover as well, just makes it look harder to look at.
Yeah, the original album cover was some bikini-clad model, and they had poured water all over her, and it's like some wet t-shirt contest sort of thing, and those "Slippery When Wet," and so they released the album like that, and then they were like, "Yeah, this is no controversial, or we can't have this here." So they were like, "Right, whatever." Black
That's
bag.
too controversial for 1987. Like,
yeah, so they just got a black bag, poured a load of water on it, and John just wrote "Slippery When Wet" on it, and that was it. They were like, "Yeah, whatever, that'll do."
Oh the hell! It's a bit of an odd alternative for them, but it is one of those albums. I just like I've never professed to be a fucking major John Bon Jovi fan, but
Yeah.
I just assumed most of those songs came off a lot of different albums. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just looking through them all like Friday and Saturday there, and I was just like, "Oh, wish this here's random. I have this," and then I looked at it, and then I listened to it, and I was like, I was the same. I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize they were all on the same album."
yeah.
So it would be one I would play regular enough, like.
And how's it? Is there anything really coming whenever you're listening to it on the record? Is there anything in particular coming through maybe clearer than you would hear in the CD? Because on some of the albums I have here, the drums in particular seem to fill out a wee bit better. But what would you kind of hear whenever you're listening to that version on record?
Definitely you hear like the drums and the the guitar solos and everything sound a lot better when you're listening through on the albums, like.
Yeah, and are the tracks spread out enough on the album, or is there more of the hits on like the first side than the second side, or?
Well, I would say all the hits would be on on the first side. Like you have Wild in the Streets is on the second side, and maybe yeah, that's about it. Like the other ones are like never you wouldn't really hear them an awful lot. Like the ones in the second side, like
So basically, you're burnt out by the side A.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But it is a good selection because I probably wouldn't have expected to pull Bon Jovi out at all out of the list because, as I said, I went through your list, your albums myself, so maybe I just
Oh
blocked
yeah.
it out, just like nope, just like
What's this here?
I don't need that. It's just like no.
Oh no, you're just looking through. What would I want?
I know it was just like it was like back in the day with fucking football stickers, just like God, need fuck a foil. Just like when you get a really good album, it's like fucking perfect for it.
Oh yeah, shiny.
But I know I wish I had to have picked five good. Well, I'm not missed out because I've had more control over my collection over the last couple of years because I did have some random albums that I genuinely had no idea where they came from, and then there was some where I was just like, I don't need this. Hence me giving you the Poison.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, I don't know where this came from, but this is for you. You work away. You keep that.
Oh
I
no, definitely, definitely. Like I've got a couple of Poison ones and a couple of like I've got Warrant Cherry Pie.
oh, but
It's
that's a
just
decent album though.
just random like.
What else was the other one I gave? The Robin Hood.
Oh, Robin Hood. Oh yeah, yeah. That's I'll have like a single day and I'll play all the singles I have like and it's like.
I love doing that because singles because I do have a single here to bring up on as well because although I may have introduced it so lazily at the start by saying five albums, we're just picking um, five vinyls because we might as well call that because we've got some 45s as well here, some picture discs and stuff as well that could even bring up as we go along. So when it comes to singles, the biggest piece of advice I would give someone who's into collecting vinyl as well, or beginning to especially, is to go down the route of picking up some singles first because a lot of these singles that we're picking up came from jukeboxes or came from radio stations. So there's so many copies of them and they're quite cheap to pick up. And you can start going through, like for me, I pick up a lot of classic rock singles that I want to have sitting there. Because there's a lot of, like, say, Hotel California by the Eagles. I love the song. I'm not a big fan of most of the songs on the album, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy the whole album just to have one
Just
good
one
song.
song. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
that's what I have going for a lot of albums a lot of singles over there. Whereas the albums don't look as full out as you would expect because I've had to, as I've said, I've had to refine to get rid of some stuff. I actually got handed two cult albums recently, and I sat them there going like, why the fuck am I going to keep these? I like the cult, but I'm not a big
yeah.
massive fan. But I've had to sit there and go through them properly. I'm going like, you know what? I'll keep them. They actually are dead on. There's some good, tasty tracks off them, so I'll allow it this time. But going through what I've got here at the minute, I don't know about you, but I've been holding like several albums by the same band, just going like, but I like this one more. But this one, I'm just like trying to decide which one. So what I've got for the second pick here is Tres Hombres by ZZ Top, the lads.
All right, all right.
It is their third album, and I've been trying to decide whether I was going to pick Tres Hombres or Eliminator to talk about. But then again, I love fucking Fandango, but I don't have it yet. So if I get Fandango, it'll go straight away at the top of the list. So it's another one of those albums because when it comes to ZZ Top, most of the tracks a lot of people would know would be like "Give Me All Your Love" and "Legs" and fucking "Sharp Dressed
Short
Man,"
dress man.
which are all off Eliminator, which is a fucking
Yeah,
brilliant album. I love it. I have
yeah,
it there for a reason, and I need you tonight. Anyone, just fucking listen to that tune. Just chill out,
yeah.
stick it on, you'd be grand. But as much as I love that album, I have to give more praise to this because this is one of those albums where it's like the way I described you earlier today about AC/DC albums. If you're not too fussed, the best thing to do is just stick them on in the background when you're doing something. This would be a good album. Basically, advertise it as if you're having a few drinks in the house with some people, stick this on for the crack at the start, get the night going. And it's fucking, I love it from the start to finish. It's like Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Left for Chicago, and Masters of Sparks. It's very bluesy. It's very simple when it comes to ZZ Top. You know exactly what you're getting, but it's not the OTT synth music from like Eliminator. It's just way more stripped back, and of course Lagrange on it is just
Oh well, yes,
tasty.
that was a tune. Like,
And it's just one of those weird ones because I love the old school fold out on it, but it's just random. It's literally just like fucking some like hotel
some
menu shit.
somebody's dinner.
But again, when it's one of those albums when I'm listening to it, I'm rarely looking at the photo of the random shit from the fucking restaurant, but I love it. It took me a while to get an original copy of it. I had to get this sent over from Germany, so that was fun exchanging emails with someone to get the details on fucking eBay. But it's one of those bridging albums because it's not exactly pure classic rock. There's an awful lot of heavy blues in it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those staple albums that if you want to see a band, a turning point for a band, that would be a turning point album for them. And then shortly followed a couple of albums later by Eliminator, because then they went off on a completely different tangent with their style. And that's when they started bringing out more of this is before the fucking beards. You know what I mean? This is like
and
early.
Before they had the spinning guitars and everything. And it was gone like cheesy sort of.
Oh yeah, they went the full tilt. Now I have to say, they've been going there just over 50 years now at this point. I got to see them with Donald, who does the channel here as well. We got to see them a couple of years ago in Dublin, and for the age they are, they fucking stood there on stage for about 2 hours, I'd say, encores included, and I think they went off the stage once, and they were playing through fucking all the hits, bopping away, spinning guitars, the whole lot, the fucking fur guitars, the big beards, everything going, and they can still fucking go, and the tunes are infectious when you're there as well. Like, I mean, it's just pure fucking party music for someone who does, for me especially, does not like parties. It's a great fucking party album. You know what I mean? If I come in that zone, I'll sit down and stay for longer.
Oh yeah. No, it's good. It's good when you go see like a random band like that, like, and it turns out to be absolutely brilliant. Like,
yeah, it's one of those bands. It's that everyone probably knows of. You know what I mean? Like everyone that's been to a fucking Irish wedding has heard ZZ Top.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Every birthday party.
Yeah, you definitely know a couple of tunes like.
It is, but as what I want to say for people is, it's another vinyl and all as well. It's great discipline to go back and reward yourself with a band, finding some other music of theirs, experimenting with them as well. And this is one of those albums. Whenever I hear more modern bands that I like Mastodon especially as well, you can hear ZZ Top's influence in their playing. So I would go back, obviously, then check out what they've listened to, even find out even more about a band that I thought I knew. Like at that time, I thought, oh sure, it's just ZZ Top, it's just Give Me All Your Love and kind of stuff. But then when you spend a few more years going through everything, you start finding, holy fuck, like again, pre-beards, these tracks were coming out. It's almost sounds like it just discovers ZZ Top for the first time, but I just get excited about ZZ Top. So it's just one of those things. I actually found out another wee thing. I have the single for "Give Me All Your Love" as well, but it's misprinted. It just says "Give me all you love."
Oh no way!
All you loving or something. So it's missing the R. So I'm just like, right, I'll have to hold on that properly. Like, put that aside. So
maybe it's worth a few pounds now.
Even if it is, I think it would be one of those rules. As long as I'm still alive, I'm not selling anything I have here. You just can fuck off. It's not happening. Anyone can first dibs. You can email in whenever I'm gone. But other than that, no, you aren't getting any of them at all. That is what you can.
You're just right.
I'm keeping note of the dates as well. Now, so that was 1973. This one is from. That shows you how far back this is going. So the previous one was 1980. Step back a wee bit further for this. For 1973. I also wanted to check, is it this one? No, it was Eliminator, has the sleeve with the car on the front of it all, whereas this just has some old school fucking photos of the band adorned around it. But so there's not much to really look at with the cover whenever you're coming through. It's a very simple bulky green color and some shitty oversaturated photos of the band. But again, for an album from 1973, it's held up well. And the sound is fucking crisp. Billy Gibbons' guitar comes through so fucking well. The harmonica sections as well come out because everything seems to be just so compressed down on the remasters. Even the recent ones that they did, I think it was 2009 for that album, and it doesn't have the same pop as that. Whenever you're coming through, it just everything blends better, track by track as well.
Well, you're really selling ACDC.
Oh, I'm selling ZZ Top like I get.
Definitely. Like I was just like, hello, I'm definitely like listening to this.
It's again. This is probably the easiest job for me. If you want me to sell fucking ZZ Top to people, I can do that. All right, or most of these bands here. So
definitely.
Your turn now. What's your second pick here?
Nice. My second pick is Meatloaf's "Ball Out of Hell." You
Oh,
see it?
nice.
Original from 1977. It's just, everybody's heard, oh yeah, "Ball Out of Hell," but there's so many great songs on it. Oh,
Yeah.
Paradise by the Dashboard Lights is such a tune, like, and because the songs are so long, like that Paradise by Dashboard Lights, it sounds like it's about three songs mixed into one. Then you've got For Crying Out Loud, Two Out of Three Ain't Bad, All Revved Up, with No Place to Go. They're all the B sides, like. And then if the first song on it is Bad Out of Hell, like. But as the songs go on, it's like it's like a musical just being played as
Oh,
all the songs link into the next one that tells a story.
oh, good, nice. I see. I enjoy albums like the Crimson Idol by Wasp, and
Yes, yes.
um, what else would be a good example of that? But I like albums that got there to bleed through, and it is the continuous story as you go along on it because the concept, like Iron Maiden as well, like for a lot of the concept albums will carry
Yeah.
through like that. But and again, is there because when it comes to albums like those, not that like not that fucking Tres Hombres or everything didn't have his hits, but more for Bad Out of Hell, is there more hits on one side than the other, or
Well, definitely the B side I would have. Well, you have Bad Out of Hell, and then you took the words right out of my mouth. Heaven Can Wait. All Revved Up, No Place to Go. It's it hits on both sides. Like
yeah?
it's a great album from start to finish, both
It's one of
sides.
those albums that gets talked about an awful lot, but I don't think it actually gets appreciated an awful lot because from what I remember, there's three Bad Out of Hell albums,
Yeah,
and there's one of I think it's Bad Out of Hell 3. There's a track called "The Monsters Loose," and there's some man. He actually had some heavy sounding songs on his later albums there. Because as a like fuck, I used to get pissed off because a lot of people used to say when I was a wee bit younger, I looked like a young Meatloaf, and I fucking hated that.
yeah.
But I liked Meat to a degree. I like Meatloaf stuff, but um, the man, as I say, I think that album, yeah, it gets added on to people's top list of albums, but I think a lot of times people just include it almost like a default. But there actually is a lot of good songs from that album.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be like, "Oh, take the piss or Meatloaf." Like I don't. It's not like a great name maybe for a band. Like,
The man's greatest success is his live shows. I haven't
oh
seen him
yes,
live, but
yeah,
from what I've heard, that's where he is big for.
yeah.
That album cover obviously as well is really fucking cool.
Oh yeah, it's just like busted, like a man on a motorbike just busting out of a mausoleum. Like,
Like, how more metal do you need to get for a non-metal album? You know what I mean? That's the other
I
thing as well.
know.
That's not. It's very metal before metal. Well, not for metal, but
Yeah, it's from, was it 1977? So it was probably like ahead of its time, like the album art, like,
yeah,
you
again,
know.
because when you hear Meatloaf and then when you look at the album, because
Or
right?
you're just like, this is gonna be metal, like, and then you listen to it and it's like, oh, this is like, it's very easy listening, like,
Yeah,
compared to what you think it's gonna be. And
true.
I would say a lot of people will be like, oh, it's real cheesy, and it doesn't get what it deserves, like.
There's
When
never
you,
anything wrong with a bit of cheese, whether it's
oh
metal,
no,
rock, whatever the fuck. You need some cheesy stuff. You know what I mean?
oh
You
no,
need some
oh
cheese in your life.
definitely, oh definitely, a few cheesy films and all.
Was that part of the? Whenever you got that, was that part of your collection, or did you seek that one out yourself?
Oh no, no, it's just like it was just given to me. Like, my mom and dad's like collection that they had, and then me and my brother just like took half and half of it, just whatever. Like, and it was just like, oh, it's like, oh well, I like Bad Out of Hell, and then you get this, and you're like, wish hell on, like that's not even the best song on this album.
Yeah. Well, that's a victory in itself. The fact is that you took the time to actually go through because you didn't like most people, as I said, would probably dismiss it automatically because of the one song. You know, what I mean, the one that everyone knows from it. So, um, it's great
That's
that you
not.
took the time to listen through it because, and again, compared to, is there anything that really sticks out whenever you're listening, or is it just a better experience to actually sit down and take the time to listen to it? Do you think?
It's definitely the lengths of the songs, and the songs go like, we have slower bits and then it speeds up, and it's telling the story as they're going along, and It's not like a CD. The CD, the song starts and like I don't like that. You just go to
Yeah.
the next
Skip.
one. Like
Yeah.
that's what I just love about vinyl. Like you can't just skip to the next one. You have to listen to it, and
Yeah.
it's just you just find something in the middle of a random song that just it's just brilliant.
The couple of wee moments. That's the one thing I don't like because sometimes I like to go back and start a solo again or something, and I'm just like, but do I risk scratching the
where,
fucking thing
where,
doing this?
where is that there? Just like lift it
Nope.
back.
Nope. Nope. Fuck it. I should have just left it.
Uh,
I know it's just, but that's the joys of fucking being a vinyl collector with it. That was great actually. That was I wasn't expect again another one probably wasn't expecting. And it's a great shout out album because actually the two you've selected are ones that you would probably, as I say, I've easily personally myself just like no because I wouldn't really delve into them. So
yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I might give them a wee bit more attention than usual, but what I'll do now is I'll bring you through to my third one because everyone's been mentioned this weekend. I've been sitting there just like quiet, don't say anything. It's
Oh
definitely on the
yeah.
list. Like, but yeah, it fucking has to be. It's one of those things. Again, this is another one that I had to get. It's one of those ones that I not saying I wanted. I fucking needed this album. You know what I mean? On record. So, and it's one of those things. I'm glad I got a hold of it. So, it is Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin.
Ah yes, yes.
I again, you think I sold fucking? I just had to slide that over a second there. You think I sold ZZ Top well to you? I could sell this like fuck. I could. Oh god. I
But
just had to take a
that's it.
moment to preach it. That was deep. Just looking at it again, but
Yeah.
no. Again, this is when it comes. I think it's one of those things with Zeppelin. It's not that you're a Zeppelin fan or not. It's either you're an early Zeppelin fan or a later Zeppelin fan. I
Yeah.
love the later stuff from House of the Holy onwards. I love the later stuff. The BBC Sessions album, fucking. I even like stuff off Coda. I'm just not a big fan of things like Led Zeppelin 3 because it's very heavy with folky stuff and tracks like Tangerine and to have their place, to have their moments. Led Zeppelin 4, there's a great couple of songs on Battle Evermore and, of course, Stairway to Heaven, but I personally would not buy the album to have because I'm not a fan of the whole album. Whereas Physical Graffiti,
Yeah.
100% behind. When it comes to Physical Graffiti, Presence, Into the Outdoor, I fucking love them because I love that direction that they went in. Like similarly, what you've heard me do rants before about movies, but people taking things and going a different direction. You know what I mean? Do
Yeah.
it. That's what I fucking love. There's more synth stuff on this. There's more, it's just a more clever approach to recording as a band. There's a more of a jam feeling with a lot of these tracks, like the Rover and some different vibe. It's just like when you listen to things like In the Light, it's got that hint of stuff that we're doing with like Dazed and Confused, that vibe, but it's gone off somewhere a wee bit different. And the clarity from listening to it on vinyl as well is fucking. It's like it's one of those things like you think you've heard Kashmir before, but you haven't fucking heard it properly till you sit
Yeah.
properly listen to this fucker. Like,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things. It's the only thing I would say about the album itself is as much as I love the artwork, it's a fucking puzzle at times, making sure I get everything back in the right place because there's a lot of like inserts and getting the windows to spell out physical graffiti again and depend which side it go on again. It's very fiddly, but again, you've got the time and patience to sit through them. Um, so I've actually picked this up at one of the record fairs in Belfast. I've dragged you along and a few other people to it, over to OES Centre in Belfast, along the Cathedral Quarter. So I picked that up just before one of the hockey games again, and carrying that along with a few other things around Belfast, I was very overprotective and near put the school bag on this way around, you know, to just kind of like until I got it back to the car. But it's one of those albums. It's just, as I said, I know a lot of people like the albums we listed at the start that a lot of people would have in their collections. Like they're like the for a lot of people that's their foundation albums for a collection. Like Dark Side of the Moon and Led Zeppelin 4 and whatnot. But for me, that's a heavy hitting album. It's one of my favorite albums consistently going through. And I fucking couldn't wait to have a copy of it myself because I was always jealous of like my dad and even my mum and I mean everyone else having it. I'm sitting going like, "Where's my copy? Where's my fucking?" It almost felt like right now I feel like a qualified Zeppelin fan. I have the
Yeah.
album I wanted on record, and I can sit back and listen to it flat out. So I would definitely say to people who aren't familiar with the later stuff, that like if you're a Led Zeppelin fan at this point and you're dabbling with some of the later day stuff, just sit back and enjoy these, because there's a lot of experimenting in them, but not experimenting. I'm not talking about like Strawberry Fields fucking experimenting. I'm
Oh
talking
no,
about
Jesus.
talking about um, Jimmy Page more refining his sound, guitar sound, not relying too much on multi-tracking to a degree for certain tracks. But I would say to people, check out songs like The Rover, check out 10 Years Gone, check out In the Light. Obviously, again, as I said, get ready to hear Kashmir properly for the first time when you go back to listen to it. When I say that, it's not. I'm not trying to sound like the typical snobby fucking Ryan Clark. It sounds, but not getting that way. It's one of those things. A lot of people say it for a reason. It's, you know what I mean. You have to hear, well, you just hear that breadth of sound with it. The orchestral piece as well in it as well just pop out. But Plant's vocals, especially here on this album, verse fucking just blows your head off. So I had a hard time. I put this down straight away on the list, nearly number one. And then for the last couple of days, I kept looking at things like In Through the Outdoor and just going like, well, maybe. And I was just like, no, there's next time. But now that I've said that, I'll probably have to wait till the time after that, so don't throw you off. But I'm on you. So, as I said, I'm trying to contain myself, because there's even moments where I'm just staring at this going like, I can't wait to listen to you again. I can't wait to waste an entire evening spent with this thing again. So it's one of those staple albums I think a lot of people should check out. If you're going to be hunting for vinyl, definitely recommend getting the earlier copy. The newer version that's on record does sound great, but start with this, make your way up to the newer version. And to be fair, I was very surprised for some of the prices. Like, I only picked this up for about 15 quid compared to what I expected to pay for it.
Yeah, that was dead on. Like,
And
I thought you would have paid about 30 for that, to be honest. Like,
that's what I'm thinking. But again, this is an Australian pressing, so maybe that's why. But then again, to me, I'm just like, Australian pressing, that means a different pressing. That means a different version. Ka-ching. In your head, you keep thinking, right, down the line, that's going to be even better. But just need actually put something, cover that up, because I keep staring at it, just like, that you're fucking fantastic, dude. You're brilliant fucking work of art, you.
it does look great. Like,
I'm trying to contain myself again. As I said, I could sell these albums like fuck. And that's what I just need. It's like trying to sell them, but I'm not selling them. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
Let's see what you've got for number 3 here.
Oh,
it's the best version tops ever.
Oh no, definitely. I don't know if you'll be surprised or not with this, but
heartbroken.
let's see what you think. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction,
with the original
cover. Original cover that was that had to be changed for obvious reasons.
But it was also included in the CD. From what I remember, it was already an image in it.
On the CD, was it?
Yeah, because I mean, I saw it when I was younger on the CD, but I never saw it on a cover, as in just the cover.
Yeah. But what was it? When was it from? It was from 1987 as well.
I was just about to say 87, and I think, is it like Mike Klink or something did the producing on it? If his name's written on it.
Oh fuck! I don't know. I don't know. Should have looked at that there.
Double check that one. But he's the guy that Lars and James wanted to produce And Justice for All, because whenever they heard that album, they were just like,
right,
that's fucking tight.
Yes.
Like, as much as I'm not a fan of Guns N' Roses, that album is pretty well done. Like.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Like, it's brilliant for like their first studio album, and the songs in it, like nearly everyone's a hit. Like,
yeah, as much as I hate them, I have to admit that it's like, yes, but then again, like, I would love things like My Michelle and stuff off it more than Welcome to the Jungle and all, like, but.
Oh no, Jesus, Sweet Child of Mine. Like, if I hear that one more time, Jesus Christ.
I don't think I ever need to hear it again in my head ever.
No, just stick a pen in my ear and just deafen me. Like, no, like, but they were just writing about what they're known. Like, Mr. Brownstone was a song about heroin.
Yeah.
Night Train was like the equivalent of Buckfast. It was.
See, just as soon as you said Night Train, I kept thinking Night Train was on Use Your Illusioner, so I always thought that was a later tune.
Yeah, no, it's on this here. It's some wine with a 17.5% alcohol content. It was cheap and cheerful, and they just drank it like fuck. Uh, Welcome to the Jungle was Axl Rose. He went to New York, and there was so many people around. It was so busy and all. He was like, "Jesus, get me out of here!" Like, it was just
Understandable.
real overwhelmed. Like, and Out to Get Me was about the police. That Axl thought the police were out to get him.
Jesus.
You know, he's a complex character to say the least.
He's definitely he's a unique rebel. I'll give him that. He's a different kind of cat altogether. Like,
But like, there's some great songs on it. Like, I'm just trying to see who this was produced by.
now, would you prefer that album cover to the one we're more
The
familiar with, or
No, I think the new cover's better. To be honest, like,
yeah? Because I don't know whether it's just the fact is that we're so familiar with it, but not
yeah,
like whether the original one or when I say original, whether the one that you have there, the other I would call it a variant at this point, like regardless of whether it's tasteful looking or not, that goes beyond it because like fucking you're talking to metalhead here. When it comes to
yeah.
albums, I rarely judge them by what's
No,
drawn on
no,
the cover, but
that's it. Just seems to be it's like shocking for the purpose of to shock people. Like, they didn't have to. The songs were that good. Like, they didn't need to.
yeah.
Interesting fact: at that time, they were on the road with Motley Crue,
Aye.
and nobody really knew of Guns N' Roses, so the album wasn't selling well.
Yeah.
And the record company were like, "Here, you're coming off the tour, you're going back and make another album here." And Motley Crue were like, "No, they're on tour with us, and that's it. Like, if you
Right.
want, if you want to pull them off the tour, we're not finishing it."
Fuck.
So then they were like, "Right, okay." And as they were playing in front of the Motley Crue fans, then they were like, "Oh, here, this band are good," and then they started buying the albums. Like,
Ah, sweet. No idea about that.
no, because Motley Crue had their third album, "Girls, Girls, Girls," was out in '87 as well at the same time, so they were touring with that album.
I always thought that was like 88 or something. I didn't realize that was 87 as well. Fucking hell.
Uh,
And they must have all been on Geffen as well then.
yeah, I
We're
think
tour together,
so.
but fucking
Yeah,
strange.
it's just because I've read the books from like both sides and
Yeah.
all the same stories and everything and all, and they're
Sure.
like
Wasn't
interesting
there
stuff.
wasn't there a clip in the Dirt film of Slash and everything in the room with them when one of them was ODing?
Um, I can't. Yeah, it probably was like
There was a guy, I'm almost certain, the guy sitting there who was obviously supposed to be Slash, the hair and the big top hat and all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
sprawled out beside. I never made the connection in my head there, to be honest. I just thought, sure, everyone that did heroin must have done it in the same room in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
fucking, everyone must have been there.
oh, that's it. When Slash OD'd and then they dumped him in the dumpster, and then he came back alive and came in and was like, "Well," like,
But
"Oh, sorry about that there."
would you be looking to get it almost sounds a wee bit stupid as well, like, but would you get both versions on record with the different covers, or would you just be happy enough with the one that you have?
No, happy enough for this here one. It play it now and again. Like, it would be probably in the top 10. Like,
Yeah,
it gets played now and again. Like, sometimes I would just listen to the vinyls all day. Like,
yeah. It's so easily done. As time consuming sometimes it be because you get to get into a couple of tracks and then now I have to go over flip this over kind of thing, which is tedious. But is there anything else from the Guns N' Roses catalog that you would want to have on vinyl, or no?
no, no,
No.
controversial now. Like, this is probably it. Like, nothing else was really would be worthwhile having. You
Yeah.
know, the
What
rest
is
of
it?
their
There's Spaghetti Incident. There's usual. As much as I don't like them, I know enough about them. There's the Spaghetti Incident, the Usual Illusion,
Isolation 1 and 2.
and
The live lives
oh
or
yeah,
something or something.
I
I think the first album was so big and then they're like so famous for it, and then the rest just Axel just took control and they just went real weird, bringing in like backup singers and pianos and everything, and it just turned into a completely different band, and
Yeah, they seem to
everybody
be
left and all. And
they seem to be the example a lot of people would point towards like the stereotypical like rock star kind of story of like between management interference, between bands splitting up, and the focus
yeah,
being on one person. Because the more facts you know about Guns N' Roses are probably small in one hand, and the facts and stuff you know about Axl Rose are just
oh, like everything.
yeah,
I think maybe they were too famous to start with. Their fame just came out of nowhere, and said no, just building up to it, and it
yeah.
just went to his head.
It's still as much as I don't like the band, as I said, there's a couple of tracks off that album that I would be able to listen to. Night Train's not as bad. I just thought it was on a later album.
Yeah,
My Michelle, I really like, and
oh, mine sounds
um,
great.
um, it's just again, it's one of those things I can't get past when it comes to that band.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you've got like Rocket Queen. It's so easy.
hmm,
Anything goes. Some good tunes on it. Like,
well, another surprise as well because um, I did again. I probably again from flicking through your ones probably didn't even know. Probably didn't glance in my head. It's like nope, move, don't need that. Went through them, but it'll probably be the one off the list that you've shown me so far I would give the least attention to for me.
yeah.
But that's just me being me when it comes to it. But would you would you be worried about, say, with Guns N' Roses, like because you wouldn't like too much of the albums, would you probably go down the road of getting some of their singles more than anything if they came across them? Or
If I could get Civil War maybe as a single, that would be good. Like,
yeah,
or what was the song on the Terminator soundtrack?
You Could Be Mine.
You Could Be Mine. Yeah, I could get
See,
that
that's a
there.
tight
Like,
tune. That's a really
yeah,
tight tune of theirs. But um,
it would be good on single. Like,
again, they have their moments. But I mean, for the love of me, for the life of me, I don't think I never need to hear "Sweet Child of Mine" again. I
or
never need to hear fucking what do you call that epic fucking
oh, November
November
Rain.
Rain.
No, no.
I'm fucking tired. It's the so because most of these. Do you know what the another annoying thing is? I can't get the visual of Guns N' Roses out of my head when I think of the band because it's just so OTT. It's just right. I'm Slash. I'm gonna walk out of a fucking church and do a solo in the wind. And all that kind of shit.
Oh
I'm just like,
yeah. Or the one where he just comes out of the water and just starts playing the solo.
dolphins and shit. And I was like, on your aircraft carrier and all this, like, right,
Yeah.
lads, he's lost me. He's lost me. Like, whereas, like, if you give me like the down and gritty approach to like the earlier stuff, you know what I mean? I'll give that a look in. But I think they were one of those bands that were the right time, the right place. But for me, I think the individual parts of that band probably work better away from each other. Where like Steve Adler worked better away from Guns N' Roses. Slash certainly worked a
Yeah.
lot better away from Guns N' Roses. I think the only person that couldn't step away from it was Axel. So
Oh yeah, definitely. And then there's a Chinese democracy, and what was it 15 years or something before that came out. And
what was that track that was on a Shatner's Revenge or something? And
yes,
I remember waiting, 15 years waiting for that album, and all of a sudden there's a picture of a bike against the wall. It's like, right, okay, fair
yeah,
enough. It's called Chinese Democracy, still okay. And then it's like, oh, I don't know. That was a waste of time, 15 years to wait for that. But again, I wasn't fucking certainly waiting for anything good. I was just like,
no,
they made it. Okay, let's see what it sounds like. It's taken, I'm not saying they waited. It's not saying that what you're hearing in the album was them trying to record this for 15 years. They probably made those songs up fucking 8 months before that CD came out. Like,
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I think because the waiting and you're building it up to be a lot better than it
yeah.
ended up being. Like,
Well,
you
it's a
know.
fine from their catalog anyway. It's definitely the gem album to have. If you're going to have anything by Guns N' Roses, I would definitely say have that album at least. As much as I'm not a fan, I would definitely steer someone look get that because I don't think anyone's going to really enjoy listening to both parts of Use Your Illusion just to, you know what I mean? Just to get
Yeah,
November Rain on record or something. You're going to have to sit through the rest of that shite. Whereas, get this one. Like, to me, it's still
yeah.
shit, but there's better shit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
there's quality. There's five quality songs in it, and two songs that you don't want to listen to because they're on the radio every day. Like,
Yeah, to be fair, radio has hemorrhaged them, and every wedding again you've gone to. But
oh Jesus.
I'd say there's definitely enough to keep them going. So fair play with that selection. I've got an easier one now for you. This is the only single that I've selected so far because at one point there was like 5 singles, then it was just 5 albums, then it was a mixture. I was just like, right, okay, I need to fuck up over these. But this is one I would definitely say when it comes to getting singles. As I said to you before, I had this period where I started collecting classic songs. Well, classic rock songs. Unfortunately, whenever I was working in teleperformance a couple of years ago, there was a guy I was working with who was dealing in antiques, and he had boxes. I mean, he must have had at least 12 quite big boxes full of singles that he had bought from an auction that a record station or like a radio station down south in south of Ireland had gone bust, and they were clearing out a load of the stuff that they had, and he got all these boxes and boxes of records, and he asked me to come up one evening to have a look through and help him find anything that was worth value, put them aside, and then everything else was just up for grabs. So before I came up, he had already picked out a load of like Foo Fighters and loads of other random, like what he knew the big names for.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too happy with that. But then when I came up, there was a lot of stuff I picked up that was like classic songs like fucking Cocaine by Eric Clapton and Wishing Well by Free, and just like all these classic rock songs where, again, even without getting this haul from this guy, being able to select them, I've seen these kind of singles at record fairs or on eBay for like £1, £2, £3 at the most. So it's a very quick way for you to build up a wee mini collection of these songs, but to get certain songs that are really fucking worth getting. Like I wouldn't, this single that I'm going to mention now, I would buy the album for, but a lot of times you could just pick up the single and not having to worry about it, like Hotel California that I have. So this one I had to pick up. It, as I said, when it comes to Led Zeppelin, for me, that was a staple for a collection. This should be in most people's collection, which is the single for More Than a Feeling by Boston.
Oh yes.
I think it's one of those tester songs there. If anyone doesn't genuinely like that song, I just honestly I don't want to be friends with you. It's just like I mean that. It's just like I honestly, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh, it is.
Sort yourself out.
It is a great tune, like.
Do you know what it's one of those songs where I'd never get tired of hearing it. Like now, to be fair, I haven't like fucking subjected myself to 12 hours of nothing but Bored and the Feeling on loop in the one room. But it's one of those songs it's like Feliz Navidad or something. I just can't get it. I can't get upset with that song. I fucking love it. It's the perfect song. Everyone, the bass is perfect. The drumming is great. The guitar is fucking just lads.
Oh, there's great solo in that song, like.
And his singing, I think a lot of times there's a lot of moments where it's literally just his vocal taking over, and especially on this when it comes to the record version. Whenever you listen to it, as I said, with the advantage of everything sounding broader, the tracks seem to separate a lot better, and everything doesn't seem as thin as it does now. Because this is an older copy as well, it is a bit crackly when I'm listening to this version compared to some other records that I have. But it's worth it for that feel, especially when the acoustic starts coming in the building and then the bass starts coming up as well. Everything just seems to lift, and it's just such a well produced track. It's like fucking lads, have it. It's fucking brilliant.
Well, sometimes when you hear the crackling, you're like, oh yes, and you get just the hairs stand up and the goosebumps, and you're like, oh, no, it's nice, like.
It's like watching a tape starting. I'm looking at a tape back at the minute, by the way, because I've got one of the old school record players that I've got this on purpose because there's a preamp built into it. So whenever I attach it to speakers, I don't have to boost. I don't have to turn this thing up full whack to get loud enough sound. And you don't want to drown out either. And it's got wee EQ settings on the side to fuck about with, and it's got the tape deck. Old school. It's like the ones we would have had when we were younger in the house. So another reason, it just helps you get in that mindset. I'm going to be sticking on vinyl, so I've got this old school lift up the lid shit and stick the album in. But when it comes to tape as well, it's like watching the tape reel at the start going from white to brown. No, like starting. It's like
and
that wee buzz. But in all seriousness, it's a great way to pick up some fucking classic songs without having to spend a lot of money on getting the albums. Like there are albums out there that I've seen in say Tesco's even where it's like what would you even call it? Compilations of classic rock. Like here's 20 classic rock songs for you to have.
Oh
By
yeah.
all means, go down that route if you just want to listen to some. If you want to have that feeling of listening to some older tracks and having a record, that's grand. By all means, do that. I'm not trying to be snobby when it comes to these kind of things at all. That's in all honesty. But when it comes to taking the next step and actually going through bands that you like, that you've maybe started off through these compilations, start picking them out one by one. You can find an awful lot of these. Like I have the fucking Bohemian Rhapsody single. There's so many other wee ones you could pick up randomly, and it's just like there's Bohemian Rhapsody. There's this. There's fucking if I get some Foghat or if I get some fucking Joe Walsh or some random, just give me some fucking old school stuff. Um, it's one of again to really have to explain why Boston More Than Feeling is a fucking cracking tune. You know what I mean?
No, no,
Oh, I love
definitely.
this.
Everyone's heard it. It's so good, like.
It's one of those things from from that radio station. I love the fact that they actually got these metal stickers on top of all the covers of the band names and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Oh yes, yes.
So whenever I'm flicking through, it's easier for me to find them because most singles you get, or you're going to get them in the typical cardboard sleeve. You're not going to get the actual artwork at all because a lot of, as I said, a lot of these are coming from jukeboxes or radio stations, so they're coming through in this condition. Oh, I got heartbroken as well because I've got like Kansas Dust in the Wind and stuff, and it's just like, but the record's cracked, and it's just shit like that.
Oh fuck.
But no, I thought I'd bring that one up because I think that, as I said, that's a key song everyone should fucking love by now, and I think it's a simple, cheap one to pick up for anyone's collection. Because I almost picked Toto Rosanna because I love that single as well. But I thought you were going to pick up I thought number 4 was going to come out from you there at one point. But,
no.
I'll let you take it away then for your 4th selection. Why calm down after Boston here?
I also have a single here. Just get it out. And I have the artwork for it.
Fucking laddie
I think if I can get it out of this plastic cover.
It's like ripping the original artwork in pieces.
So it is. Can you see that?
Oh yes.
What is it? It's a Scorpions with Winds of Change.
I was about to whistle the whole tune. I was like, I'm not getting copyright for it.
Oh no. So when is this from? This is from 1990.
Fuck! I didn't realize it was 1990.
Yeah. I didn't realize that either. It's like about the band were in Russia and like the Russians were like coming out of the Cold War and everything, and they were like leaving like what was it? The Berlin Wall was coming down as well. It was all happening around that same time.
Oh yeah, what do you call him? The Hasselhoff, fucking all that shit.
He's singing on the wall and all. But see, the Russians, they were like after like the Second World War, they sort of just stayed in like Lithuania and Estonia and these countries, and so 40 years later, then they came out. So it was the fall of communism in all these countries. But not maybe this mightn't be historically accurate. Like there's a bit of some bro sense here. Like it's going to be accurate enough. Like
maybe save yourself saying dates. Just say back in the day. Might save you.
Back in the day. But so the Russians like came out of Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania in the early 90s, and they wrote this song about all this happening and the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall and all. And it's got some like some powerful lyrics in it, like it was like did you ever think we could be close like brothers? You know, like people like living on both sides of the wall, and one side was real like communist still, and the other side was like going like they were like advancing with the rest of Europe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were completely. The other side was completely left behind, and almost like a generational gap where it was just like
just everyone being all poor and
and
everything, and
it's just fucking disastrous. But again, like that 1990, my God. Like, I mean, well, not to spoil anything, but you were 5. I was like 2.
Something like that.
Something like that. I know, you know what I mean? Just like, it's one of those things where it's still within our fucking lifetime, so.
Yeah, it was strange because I was like, picked that up and I was like, oh, this will be good. And then when I looked into it, I was like, in the 90s, is that all? Like, really?
Yeah. But again,
Unbelievable.
Ciaran, we forget the 90s was 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we think the 90s, oh, that was like fucking 15 minutes ago. That was like, no.
Yeah.
90s was 30 years ago, dude.
But that was off. It's a single from the Scorpions' 11th studio album. So this
By that point, they would have had 11 albums at that point.
shows how long they were going. Like,
And well, I don't want to say if they're still going, but they've been active on and off. They're one of those kind of like legacy bands, basically. At this point, like,
oh yeah, it'll be on tour with like Journey or Whitesnake or something. Like,
they're always at like Bang Your Head and everything. I'm not knocking. I like Scorpions.
oh yeah.
Fucking who doesn't like Rocky Like a Hurricane and fucking Michael Schachtner's work? But I mean, I'm not that much of a historian of fucking I was gonna say power metal or not power metal. Fucking just
Or just
the other
power
side of it.
ballads.
Yeah, haven't really delved into like Queensryche and everything. I'm just not haven't gone into enough with them. But where did you pick that one up? Did you was that in the collection? Or just what you picked up yourself?
I was just looking at vinyl on Amazon and then I came across it and I was like, wish that's still on. It was £2 and love that song. So as soon as I seen it, I was like, I have to have that. Like, I wasn't looking for it, but just looking what's for sale here, and I wish how long definitely getting that.
It's such a strange song as well because anytime I hear it, it's one of those songs like because it starts off with a whistle, you're just like, all right, it's on. No, like it's just like.
And you're like, oh, I know what that is, and you're like, oh, I have to listen to this. That's how I feel.
No, it is a good show. Were you sitting there in the house with the fucking lighter on and?
Oh, that's it.
Air grabs. What? So it's 1990. I think that's probably the most latest album on our list so far because, I mean, I've had what Blues Brothers was 1980, Tres Hombres was 1973, Physical Graffiti was 1975, and Boston was 1976 for More Than Feeling. So, double check that. Yep. I thought I wrote it. This is going like, is that not older? But again, I forget how long.
Yeah.
It's one of those things with Led Zeppelin anyway, because they were only around for about 10 years or so, and they did a shitload of songs. And I tried, my timeline goes by big bands like that covered a long bit of time, what albums came out, and everyone else, what else came out around the time of like 7-4 coming out, what other bands' songs were out. Like, so it's the only way I could start thinking back that far. But so 1990 is probably the most recent one so far. My next one is definitely. It's not too far off that, but it's not 1990. Like, so we'll see how far you get now with your last one as well. So my last one for the list, I had to put it on. There's no surprise for anyone. They're probably just waiting, going like, right. So when's he gonna bring this one up? You know what's coming.
Yes.
It's just like, was anyone expecting anything less at this point? Because I fucking love this album, and again, it's another point as well. It's another reason why I love it as well. I got it from yourself, which is one of those. It's a fucking proper man gift. It's probably the best man gift ever. You know what I mean?
Well, I do buy the best gifts ever. Like, so
if you weren't related and you were a woman, you would be mine. You know what I mean? Like at this point for that gift.
It is just everything you wanted. Like
it's all I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's not. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my favorite album by my favorite band. So beyond that is strong enough as well for me to have it. But it's one of those prejudices when it comes to Metallica albums, especially this one, because a lot of the criticism for this album came from people giving off about the bass or lack thereof. But I've maintained for a long time that a lot of people's criticism of the sound is based on listening to the CD versions and listening to everything else, every other version's come out from then, and not being able to listen to the scope from the original on vinyl. That's exactly what you're hearing when you're listening to it in vinyl. You can hear the bass a lot clearer than you can the CD. It's not overwhelming. Because of the tone he chose for it, you had to bury that in the mix. But me and Declan have covered the full album and why we love it to death on another podcast from ourselves here about a year or two ago when it was the 30th anniversary. So you're talking about a year or so ago then. But the advantages of having this in vinyl, again, just fucking look at that. To be able to sit here and appreciate the work of this album, the artwork especially. I love the photos in it, and it's start to finish. It's my perfect album. It's my favorite album from start to finish. There's no weak link for me on this album. Everything comes in waves as you go along in it. There's no, if you start picking random tracks off it out of context, it's not going to sit well. Like, I mean, you're not going to pull out Till This Today randomly and just sit down and listen to it. You're going to wave into that one. You know what I mean? Fucking no one just sticks on. Do you know what? I'm going to stick on Just Fade to Black right now and just fucking count out. It's not going to work. But I have it's a fucking perfect one to have for a collection. It's one of those things you have to have a certain album in mind when you're making a vinyl collection. That you need this. This is my number one. This is the reason why I would want to have vinyl records. So this is my one. That's why it's important. That's why it had to be included in the list. It's not the eye roll from a lot of people going, "Oh fuck, he's putting a Metallica album on." Of course, fucking me. Of course, I'm going to put a fucking Metallica album in this. Why the fuck else would you be listening to me at this point? But there's a reason. I fucking love it. It's
no, that's it. It's when I listen to Metallica, I can see like three different stages.
Oh God, yeah.
You have like Fade to Black and Master of Puppets is like one band, and then And Justice for All and a bit of Black. It's like they've changed their style, and then when they've gone to like Load and Reload, and after that it's just gone like pure blues. And you can see the three different bands there easily.
Yeah,
like.
I would even delve deeper, to be fair, because I mean, like again, like self-professed fucking fan, everyone there's fucking it's all there. You know what I mean? I'm not against the wall here having to explain myself for it, but I mean, if you listen to the difference between Kill 'Em All and Master Puppets, even there's a big difference. If you pick either album, if you compare Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning, it sounds like a different band.
Oh, Kill 'Em All's a Megadeth album, like
it might as well be.
Definitely
is, because I mean, Mustaine did write the chunk of that fucking album, and the highlights of the album is definitely down to him. Now, there's a couple of wee moments there from Ride Lightning. There's still Mustaine's as well, but again, it's more of a collective piece.
It's like Fight Fire Like Fire, I think.
Fire. I think he was involved in that. Ride Lightning definitely was, and Call Cthulhu he definitely was.
Yeah.
But I always consider Ride Lightning more of their first album than Kill 'Em All. Like
definitely. Like.
Yeah. It's to me, it's never been on the highest part for me. I mean, to be honest, I would rather listen to Load than Kill 'Em All, but again, it depends on the day, because tomorrow I could be into listening to No Remorse or Phantom Lord or Metal Militia or Anesthesia, but then the day after that I might want to just listen to Bleeding Me, fucking Thorn Within, and fucking Slither, even stick on Reload for a bit of crack.
I like them, like Bleeding Me, great song. Like, it's one of them random ones, like.
Oh, it is. It's just thing to have their moments. I think a lot of bands envy them, and I think it's just the press can't be consistent with them, which infuriates them, because that must be a hard band to market back in the day, when every album that came out, they were either getting faster, tighter. The sound was shifting each direction with each album. I mean, like, look at the difference between Master Puppets going into Aunt Justice and then Aunt Justice going into Black Album. In the space of about 3 years or 4 years. Well, yeah, Garage in the middle, but fuck it. We're not getting into all that shit. There's a change going through even just those three albums. If you put those three albums together each other, they all sound like different bands completely.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many. Yeah. It's just one of those things where a lot of people just probably, I say a lot of the hardcore fan base from the beginning, this album was probably their last album for them. For a lot of people, this is the last Metallica.
Your sound changed too much, and you're going all mainstream. And
well, I people that say that, I'm just like, well, did you listen to Black Album? Did you listen to Struggle Within, Through the Never, God Had Failed, My Friend of Misery, Holier Than Thou? You know what I mean? Were you not paying attention, or did you give up by side one? You know what I mean? You didn't even get to know Wolf and Man, everything. You're not happy with those things, then fuck off.
Just because just one acoustic song now, I'm just not listening anymore.
Well, again, the one word that always comes back in a lot of our podcasts is dynamics, and that's an album that has a lot of dynamics. It keeps you invested. It's got the perfect blend as well. This is one of those things when it comes to albums that Donal especially always merits for bands. When you hear it now in some bands, it's a refreshing. And when you get about halfway through the album, you hear another acoustic track or something, which would be side B. You know what I mean? You're flipping it over. It's back to another part of the album. That's what I like about this. It does have that album break as well, because once you flip it over, you start off with Short of Straw again. You're back into after one. You've got a breather. So again, my whole thing for it, I love it more because it's putting at ease a lot of criticism about the production of the album. The vinyl quality of it is fucking brilliant. I would love to get the newer version as well because it is tight. It does sound tight. It doesn't sound as dull as most remasters. I have to give them that benefit. They did tweak it, but not the way everyone wanted it to be done. They thought it was just going to be bass turned up and then re-released. That's not what needs done with. But as a fucking, just look at that bastard thing. This is the healthy addiction. You know what I mean? This is the healthy vice. To look at these things. This is why myself and yourself and others buy it, to get this kind of like, this is the buzz. And like, I feel this is the complete moment. Just like, I have my favorite album. I have it sitting here. It's perfect. And it's for me as well. That particular version is more important as well because as I said, it was a gift, so it's even better. That just adds to it. So it's another memory to go down through it, because I would love to have had it being like, it was this quest. I had to fucking, I don't know, had to rescue from a burning building, or some shit.
Had to slay a dragon, like.
Yeah, easily. I would have done it for it, but it's one of those things, because both of us as well agree that they're like Ride the Lightning. It's one of those ones I would love to get the original for it on vinyl, to hear things like Call of Cthulhu and everything, even Escape, to hear those sounding a lot broader.
Just to hear just Fade to Black
as it was
vinyl, like, oh Jesus, as it was intended. Oh.
That's the thing. See, that's what I want. That's the feeling I wanted to have whenever you're listening to it. I'm like, so whenever this album came out 30 years ago, this is how it was out.
This was like, the only way to listen to it.
Yeah, and they appreciated it more, because that album, as I said, it's very close to cutoff point for how long the album is. It is quite a long album, but to sit there through it, and once you've got through to the end of Dyer's Eve, you're just like, I'm done. Like you've accomplished something. You're like, I've done it, start to finish. I've sat here. It's bang on, but it's not saying I couldn't do an episode without talking about it, but I needed to get it done now or out of the way, and then the next couple of times I can focus on some other ones. But it had to be brought up. I think a lot of people thought that was going to be like number one on the list brought out.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you were probably like,
I was expecting it, like.
Yeah. I'd say it's the one you were expecting to come out, and I think you would have been like, why the fuck didn't you bring out Unjustice? You know what I mean? That'd be like, that's criticism. I think a lot of people would be expecting at least one Metallica or one metal. To be fair, it's the only metal album I've actually brought out for a metalhead. Like, everything else has been like classic rock, the fucking Blues Brothers.
I was interesting, all right. Like,
it's a different mix. And then again, that's 1988. Again, another reason why I'd be affiliated. It's my birth year, so I would fucking be jumping right on it. So that was my fifth pick for this installment. So what have you got to fucking wrap up for?
Well, this is interesting. Because you had
Toto.
Did you see that? Yeah. Did you see that? All right, yeah.
It's just going back and forth with the camera, but I could get a.
From was it 1982, and I went to see Toto. They were playing in Belfast in the waterfront, and
you invited me.
Yes, you couldn't go. I couldn't
go because I had to fucking buy a bed. I was sleeping on a mattress for 3 weeks in my house. I needed a bed. I was like, but to be fair, Toto would have been better.
To be honest, I went to see them for the novelty. I was just saying, oh, they're going, and then it was like, oh, their tickets are actually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And I just went for the crack. And then you go and you're listening to them, and you're like, "Wish I know that song, and I know that song, and this one, and you don't realize it."
Yeah.
But like just hearing Africa and Rosanna
Oh,
and uh it's so good. Like Hold the Line and all.
oh, little time.
Just going and
Oh,
hearing them songs live. It's absolutely brilliant.
was it just like this wee checklist? Just going like, I've actually just heard Toto live. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah, yes, that's it. But the album, if you just want to put something on, very, very easy to listen to. Like,
Easy listening kind of tunes. Just come
uh,
in and just
easy listening, some catchy riffs, some
yeah.
it's just real nice. Nothing over the top or anything. Just
Oh no, I would say it being along the same lines of like say Tres Hombres had mentioned, where you can just stick it on and
yeah,
start things off with, or even Slippery When Wet to a degree. I think it's a bit more like chanty shit than
oh
Toto
yeah,
would be. But you see, I Toto 4 is on my list because I got Rosanna, but I'm sitting there going like that's not good enough because now I'm gonna have to buy a whole
yeah.
line. Then I'm gonna have to get fucking
Like
Africa. Then I'm gonna have to get
Africa,
everything. It's just like just get the album. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
easier. It is a cracking album. Um, was that again? Was it another one that was just bestowed upon you?
No, I seen that on Amazon. It was £7 or something. And I was just like,
How do
oh
you get all
yes.
these deals? Like the last couple of albums
I
I've been picking up are like 30 quid each, and
I don't know. Like it's just people just don't want these random albums. Like I got like those starships,
yeah,
no knee deep in the hoopla. I got it on Amazon for a tenner. Like
you were just they must have saw you coming, just like fuck, we'll just throw up all this random shit. He'll pay, he'll buy it. Lennon will buy it, not a bother.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, no better man.
But it's just like the mix of stuff that you even brought up there as well. There's a bit of a vibe, definitely. I mean, like what's the earliest album? The earliest album I have here on my list is Tres Hombres from '73. Like
Yeah.
I think the latest one out of both our lists is definitely what was that for 1990 again?
When's the change?
Yeah, that one. So there's a big like that's a good bit of a difference in the years. Like, and then there's a big mixture of albums here as well, which probably I not really intentionally want a bit of a mix, but it's just the fact that my collection is a mixture of stuff. Like I say, a lot of people probably think it's just nothing but metal and only metal. Like I just don't fucking consume anything other than metal. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
no, like I know there's a lot of random classic rock,
yeah,
uh, White Snake, Europe.
fucking love Whitesnake. Europe are tight. Europe are one of those bands like Toto and a few other ones where I'm just like, I went to see him to say I saw Europe, but
Yeah.
like Last Look at Eden and a few other tracks, there's their latest stuff is actually pretty fucking good.
Oh, brilliant.
But like all I wanted to do was I wanted to say I heard the Final Countdown live. I heard it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't as impressive as I thought, but I like Journey and fucking
Oh, but
Tesla
Journey,
and
Journey are great. Like Journey, Journey,
you love Journey.
Journey are like Toto. You
You
hear
picked
these
up
songs, and I picked up the
you
Journey
did.
album when we went to see the Belfast Giants. I got the Journey greatest hits.
Oh yeah, and I remember me just looking going like, all right, I'll let that slide. It's like
But if you listen to it, you're like, oh, I've heard this song in loads of films and everything, and I didn't realize it was Journey. And everybody's like, oh, Don't Stop Believing, and it was like in every TV show, and you're like,
oh god, yeah.
okay, this is getting played out here a wee bit, like,
There was, to be fair, like I say, whenever I say things like, "Oh, they don't like that or that," this is me even saying it after seeing them live. Like there's some like I've sat there during Journey and Europe and some bands just sitting there going like, "Do you know what? I didn't know that they also made that track, but
yeah,
I still can't get there with some bands like that." But that Toto album, that's a great one. That it's a different kind of album to have on because I actually had the Eurythmics album that I was going to bring up in the list, but I'm just like, do you know what? There's one or two tracks on it I'm not too fussed on, and it's very side A heavy for me. So I'm just like, I didn't want to bring it up, but
yeah,
you need to have. I would say to people as well, another tip as well, to try and have a varied collection because obviously, like if you're only into get, if you're the kind of person that will only buy records because you're only buying them for your favorite band, grand. But I think you're missing out on a chance to appreciate music a wee bit better.
yeah,
So start with going through some singles that are cheap enough to pick up and build up a collection quicker because it's a wee boost to go like, oh look, maybe Stack's getting bigger. I have a collection kind of thing.
Yeah.
Keeps people going, and there's enough copies of them. But definitely have a bit of variety, because there's days where, like, how many times you've seen it with, say, Netflix? There's fucking how many fucking hundreds of shows up there, but you can't really decide. And sometimes a random wee one that you would never check out comes up. You need some variety. You get bored very easily. So having some Toto come out is a fucking is very nice, very tight to come
Oh
in with.
yeah. Yeah, like
Um,
I remember like my brother, he picked up an album for me. Oh here, I seen this in the charity shop, £2. What is it? Madonna. Like
yeah,
I'm not gonna buy that there, like, but you put it on and you're like, yeah, this is actually alright, like.
no harm, right? Putting personal things aside to some people, like I'm not a big Madonna, Madge fan, whatever you want to call her. Like as I said, there's some great tracks that she's made. She's been very well produced over the years. She can't sing. There's a reason why she's popular, but in a long list of artists and bands I listen to, she wouldn't really be anywhere high at all. But then
Oh yeah.
again, you need that variety, because why is it when you go to weddings, why is it when you get people around, you have certain bands on like Toto, like ZZ Top, like AC/DC, because they are great albums to have on. They're catchy enough, but they're not that distracting that everyone in the room is going to be sitting there just staring, listening just to Toto. It's not like when you break out Dark Side of the fucking Moon or some
Oh yeah.
Zeppelin, everyone's like, best behavior, the album's on. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
The
yeah, that's it.
feature, the main
Every,
feature's on.
everybody sit down, be quiet.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a test at the end of this to see if you're paying attention. The whole lot, you know what I mean? Just like everyone, every 10 minutes, okay, now you pass the cover to him so he can read this song, and you know what I mean? It's just like pass it around. But it's kind of cool as well, because like I flicked through your collection. It's great to see the breadth of it at the minute. And out of all that, it was good wee selection that you picked out of the five. I wanted, as I said, I didn't want to purposely have a bit of a selection, but I'm happy enough that I have enough mixture of genres there to choose from. And maybe next time I'll probably grab a picture disc or two to go into, because, as I said, I have some mixed feelings about picture discs, but I would only buy particular ones. You know what I mean? I'm just not a big fan
Yeah.
of them in general. Um, so what would you, out of the five that you have, what would be the main one that you recommend to someone to check out?
Oh, probably I'd probably say Bad in Hell.
Yeah, for being so misunderstood, I would say.
Yeah, it's everybody's like, oh, it's just Bad in Hell, but if you put on Paradise by the Dashboard Lights,
Yeah,
it's, I don't know, 7, 8 minutes long. It sounds like it's three different songs mashed together. But you put it on, listen to the lyrics. It tells you a story, and
yeah,
it is quality. There's some great 12-bar blues in it and all. And you
nice.
just it's just brilliant.
It's definitely, as I said, I'm aware more of his catalog than that album, because there's always been that album where I'm just like, as most people probably have, like, oh yeah, and yeah, you think you know the album, it's like, yeah, I know those couple of tracks that are on it, and that's that. But I would definitely have to put my own ignorance aside and delve a wee bit more into it and give it a go myself. So out of the ones I've picked, I mean, most of them speak for themselves. Some of them, like, you've got some heavy hitters by Zeppelin and Metallica and Boss and everything there, but the one I would say for people to check out, give it a good spin, would definitely be Tres Hombres by ZZ Top.
Oh, you definitely sold me on it. Like, and I would say ZZ Top would be misunderstood the same as no Meatloaf. You were like, oh, sir,
Mm.
they're a cheesy band, and they're like coming and their guitars spin round and they're all fluffy and everything, and they're like, oh, and you're like, oh, they don't really play the guitars, and
Yeah,
you know,
I think what this is, this album is a master class for people to sit back and appreciate. Obviously, if I'm just going by the five albums I picked there, that's the album out of them I would tell people to sit back and take the time to look at. Now, when it comes to ZZ Top, yes, definitely. But I would also say as well to check out the other tracks that are on Eliminator that a lot of people don't seem to focus more on. You know what I mean? Like, I Need You Tonight, holy fuck, that is a fantastic song. But it gets lost in the mix with other songs like I Need to Give Me the Six, you know what I mean? But and Legs, it's just stuck in the middle of, and TV Dinners and everything, it's stuck in like some of those tracks that a lot of people would know more of. Whereas like in the older albums, you've got things like Tush and Brown Sugar and but Tres Hombres is a good mix. I mean, fucking Lagrange, you can't mix up with that. start from
No,
the
no,
start,
definitely not.
because some of the songs will bleed into each other like instantly into the next track. So it does have more of a vibe of listening to the band as they were presented back then. So definitely, because put it this way, prove me wrong with that album. Check it out, listen to it, and see what you think for yourself. Because I'm getting excited to listen to it again. This is the salesman coming out again.
No,
Like,
definitely. I would listen to Eliminator now, like now and again, but I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. Like,
yeah, would be it'd be interesting now as well because we can pick this. We can take this kind of concept more often because as our collection keep evolving, I'm picking up stuff more regularly at the minute because what else is there to really to fucking do? So, and it seems to be something that a lot of people could also join in and doing as well. So, when we sit down to do the next one, which shouldn't even be due soon, to be honest, because I mean,
yeah.
we're picking 10 to begin with and then putting it
Oh,
down to
that's
five. You know what
oh,
I mean?
that's
Like,
it. Yeah, I just was picked 10. I was like, I've got 20 here. Hold on a minute, trying to get it down to 10, and then I was like, right, I'll just pick the fives that are on top of each other here.
yeah, these will do. But then again, you go into singles and everything else, you're just like, oh. So, might even just do one where we just focus on singles. There's plenty of ways we can take this. So, I would say to anyone else as well, if you think if you think the selections we had were okay, let us know. If you think there's anything that we've talked about from our own collections, you think we should add on to it? Anything in particular? Maybe even something else from Bon Jovi. Maybe you're missing out on, or maybe something else I maybe might be missing in from fucking Boston or whatever, or anything else we brought in. Please let us know because we are big music fans here. We want to keep the collection going. So, um, when it comes to Spotify as well, where these podcasts are going to be ending up, we would encourage people to let us know because we can share the tracks and everything on our site as well from what we've been checking out from fans as well. So just let us know as you go along with these because this is the video version that's going up on YouTube as well. So any comments as well are very much appreciated at this point.
That's it.
I
All good
I
comments.
I had to let it out there probably. I had to keep you to go disclaimer. All I needed was just
uh,
your nod of approval there.
all good comments, none bad.
Oh no, no, I'm not saying I was about to say I encourage bad comments. I just encourage people to be truthful. If you honestly don't like something, Ron, if you just sit there trying to be a dick and you're not being
Oh,
constructive,
Jesus.
not saying I won't ignore you. I'll engage with you. If you be a dick,
Oh,
I'll be a
yes,
dick back.
absolutely.
Not
Like,
a bother.
oh, fuck.
Takes no effort. You know what I mean? But no, thank you very much, Ciaran, for sitting through this one again with me because I've been looking, as you can tell, I've been excited to go through some of these tracks and some of these albums. And I'm looking forward to going through another one with you soon enough. So
Oh,
thank you
here,
very
anytime, man, definitely, like, fucking, just send me a message.
just fucking the bat signal out. It's just like
Oh, that's it. Just the
DJ.
red acre signal.
I know. Well, we're fucking welcome aboard with most of these podcasts as well, man. The lads are enjoying you checking them out as well. And we appreciate you giving me
Oh,
feedback
yeah,
as well
yeah.
on them as we go along here. But um
That's
well
it, definitely. Like, I'll just say one thing the last
yeah.
time, like, uh, JP, I seen Sub Zero got you in that last one, but you were just frozen.
That was
Just,
good that the I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I as we both said from watching it for this as well, it was just weird. It was just this caught out, but and I'm worried as well. If we go back to watch this one, it's going to have something
oh,
similar is going to
jeez.
happen,
Like,
guaranteed.
I don't know. I was watching it, and I don't know how long I was watching it for, and then I was like, he hasn't really moved there for a while. Like, so I don't know when he was frozen, but I still enjoyed watching it, and it was great seeing his reviews on it. Like,
We've enjoyed doing this, and to be fair, we've refined because of the restrictions of not being able to sit together. We've taken more time to plan things and work out ways that would suit everybody being able to express their interest. So this is another way for me and yourself to keep in contact and do some more reviews and talk about stuff that we can just endlessly talk about, which is fucking music. So we'll definitely be keeping this one going, this kind of idea going. So anyone else as well that's already on the crew that have given interest on it, by all means, they can join in the next time as well. So we'll say our goodbyes for now on this one. And thank you very much again.
no problem, man. Anytime, as I said, like, fucking, talk about anything. I'll give it a go.
I know. Well, I've sold you on a few albums tonight, and I think we'll
Oh, definitely.
surprise each other well enough. We've got a good mix, and we've got a broad time. Well, not a very broad timeline of tracks. You're talking about from early '70s to the 1990s here, so I don't think there's a really big surprise with that. But we'll see if we can surprise each other next time with some other selections.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Well, adios. We'll hit
Adios,
stop
right?
now.
Yeah, yeah.
All the best, man. Good
All
luck.
right, good luck.